Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And hello, everyone. I'm so glad to have you here. And we have another amazing guest. Of course, I know you're anxious to learn all about her. We're going to be telling you about her. Alex, it's great to have you here.
Fantastic, Daniel. I'm so excited to be here with this beautiful audience. I don't see them, but I can feel them already. So thank you.
Yeah, everybody, I feel the joy, right? So there's a joyful celebration. I could feel that. And so for those of you that are loving the energy here and want to continue to, be reminded, like I love when I go into YouTube, which I've been cutting back a little bit, to be honest, but when I go into YouTube, I love going to my subscriptions, and I like to be reminded all those wonderful things I love to see all the time, rather than just go in with whatever they're telling me to watch, right? So just subscribe, go to your subscription buttons and keep posting with us, okay? So go ahead and subscribe. Let me tell you about Alex. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Or subscribe wherever you are, right? So if you might be, most of you are probably listening. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to tell you about her. Alex is just really magical. I'm sure you can sense that. She's the leading shamanic priestess of wealth and well-being. Alex traverses the material and mystical worlds. Yeah, definitely one of those really cool things, right? The mystical worlds. Okay, right after over 15 very successful years in finance, Alex lost her husband to cancer. She found respite in meditation, mindfulness, and energy healing. She retrained herself in several energy techniques and has developed her own methodology. Alex also is professionally qualified as a matchmaker. So for those of you who look for love, this is a good place to be hanging out. I feel it with Alex. Alex empowers visionaries to become the soulful, impactful, and rich leaders of the light they were born to be. And that's definitely the people listening in. And Alex is a published author, an international speaker, and often featured in international media. So Alex, just again, so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
The title of the show, we're featuring you as a modern oracle, but you didn't always know that you were this so-called oracle, right? So tell us about, we talked about a little bit in the intro here with the bio, but how in the world does someone, I don't think this is something you're completely like, I totally knew this from day one, so tell me your journey of getting to where you are today with the work that you do. Tell us more about that journey, because there are more and more people that are needing to come out of the closet with their spiritual gifts as intuitive psychics, oracles, etc. Let's hear your story. How did you come to this place?
Thank you, Daniel. It's really like you said, for me, didn't start as a leading shamanic priestess. I am a modern oracle. I think I was an oracle in the ancient days in Greece. And now that, once you develop those gifts, you come with you lifetime after lifetime. But I started my career in finance, so very practical, very masculine energy, very numbers, right? So yes, I was helping the world, but maybe not with my psychic abilities. And definitely I would never have thought that I could convey messages from the divine. And I had to come out of the closet when my husband passed. And I was really started with practicality. I didn't want to leave my children that was really young, age 4 and 6, alone all day while you're going to work in finance and investment bank. It's very long hours. I'm sure some of the audience may still be in that realm. So I was thinking, what can I do to spend more time with my kids while working? And I prayed for the angels. I've always been connected with the angels. And that path of mindfulness meditation came, and then it was the angels a little bit more, and then it was the shamanic a little bit more. And I started to really channel those messages. And my friend, funny enough, said you came out from the investment banking closet to warrior goddess. This is how they call me. And I really want to encourage the listeners here to, if you're feeling that you're not in a job that it's very satisfying to you, if you're feeling called by, I say, the divine, the sacred in you, then explore that road. And if you're listening, for sure, you are either already made the jump out of the spiritual closet or you really want to consider it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we were into the practical is what I really got from what you shared. You were in, finance and all that sort of stuff. Um, so what would you, I mean, were you aware of any of this during that time, or were you delving into it a little bit for years? Like a lot of people usually do a lot of spiritual study and whatnot, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, do I have some gifts? Maybe, that sort of thing. Um, how was it for you? I mean, or was it more like, no, just like it really started coming all at once more so?
Well, no, for me, I always had interest and curiosity. So, as a little girl, I used to play with manifesting. I didn't know it was called manifesting, but I really liked prediction. I really liked to enter a place and say, this person is going to say this person is going to walk out the door, this person. I really like to play those games. And I spent hours and hours trying to move object with my minds or analyzing my dreams with my friends. So when other would be talking about the boys, I would be talking about, hey, I dreamt this. What does it mean? What can I? So there was always curiosity. I did Tai Chi and I was doing Tai Chi. It was again, just move the energy. How is this energy moving? How can I make that flowers move towards me? I wasn't consciously really aware of this is manifesting or it's a spiritual path or I'm going to be even channeling the divine. I always had that curiosity though. It was always something that is, I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I can predict that. I wonder if that person, and with people, I always had it kind of easy. So if somebody, again, in the practical world would say, hey, I'll call you tomorrow, I was thinking, no, you're not. Or, oh, I'll see you again, yes, in 3 days. Or, it was all, but never by intention. It would just come up to me and it would put a smile and I would let it go and never thought I could make it a career, a
Right.
work of choice.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I think that's so good is to help people to remember their childhoods and where they were and maybe some of the magical experiences they might have had, or maybe you didn't just notice it, or, don't remember it. A lot of times people had a lot of magical experience. They don't even remember it anymore. It's like, I don't know. No, it's like every other kid, they don't remember. But I remember like you did in a way, like, one time when I would try to do that sort of stuff was always at the stoplights for whatever reason. I'd be imaging it, imagining them changing, and things like that, and probably other things, but that was the main one I remember doing. And then I remember that not with a lot of people, but with certain people in my life, I remember knowing that I had influence, like sense of leadership with certain people, because I was quiet. I was like, oh, I feel like I see where they're kind of struggling, and I can say some nice things and bolster their self-esteem. I can get them flying straight, realizing more of their potential. I remember having thoughts like that back then, like with my friends and stuff like that. And so yeah, and then people that would hang around with me, of course, it's in some ways they would flourish and grow and whatnot. And I'm not saying I created it, but I just noticed that would happen. And then so it's like it's one of the things when we look back when we're kids, people that I feel like we're always in this place. To be honest, I think even people are like so-called have made it often are still looking at these things like, yeah, who am I? So look back at your childhood definitely gives hints and clues to these gifts and abilities, because there's a lot of light leaders here that are listening in that still they're still in the closet. They still haven't emerged at the level that they know they're meant to. And so you're we're here to talk about that. I mean, because I know that's part of what you're helping people with, right? You're helping people to kind of get out of the closet with who they really are, et cetera, right?
Totally. And I say I really help them to become that leader of light, to really shine bright. And I want to encourage, sometimes people stay in the closet, maybe because they shared something, let's call it special, something, maybe they were seeing angels, or they were seeing past ones, or they were seeing things that their parents were not able to see. And maybe they open up when they were very young. And oftentimes adults may have the tendency to say, oh, this is not real, what are you talking about? And that is going to create some bottling up of your emotion. You're going to feel, oh, what am I saying? And you're going to repress your gift. So if you are parents, please, and your child comes to you and say, oh, I have nightmares, I see a monster, don't disregard that, and actually encourage them. And for me, a lot of these skills also have been able to emerge by doing this work with my children, by having this open conversation where, especially my youngest one, she remembers a lot of where she's coming from, a lot of these magical gifts. So when she comes to me and she shares something and says, this is how we're born, or this is what happens when we're not here, I listen. I listen, and then I, ask for myself. And a lot of times, the messages that comes through are very divine and profound. So if you are in the closet because maybe you've forgotten where you said something to your parents one day and they laughed at you, or they told you it was not appropriate, please go and see somebody that is going to help you do that work and shine your light, really shine your light. Because once your light explodes, nothing can stop you. And the whole world is going to look different to you and present itself differently as well.
Yeah, it's I think we're all many people are sort of aware, of throughout their life, at some level of the, if we're calling it the mystical, the multidimensional, or whatever we want to call it, but like we're aware of this aspect. And I think so many, kids, like encouraging that we speak to our children about the experiences they're having. And I think that's so brilliant. And it's like, really, I mean, I think that for those children and those people that really are open to what they're experiencing, we create a space for them to talk about such experiences and to really sort of it becomes like I could see where, I don't know if you're doing it, I'm doing it, we're all doing it probably, but we could come together, we could actually put a circle together where we could talk about those spaces, that we journey to, and these experiences we have, and that we could play in those places, together. We can, because there's a whole nother bandwidth of experience that is going on all day long. It's constantly there, always happening. And most of the time, even spiritual people are not really that aware of what's going on. I'm not saying we need to be aware constantly, but like there's we often even forget that field exists to the level that it does, and how it's playing with us all day long, whether we realize it or not. So
I agree. And I think if you do it in a group or as a family, it brings a lot of power of really co-creating your life. And I'm going to give you a very practical example, but one of my cats has been really, really sick. And just my son, he's 11 now, one day the cat feels better and he said, oh, Mom, I've been doing that thing that you taught me about turning to the power animals. And so even when I don't necessarily think they're really paying attention all the time, I talk about these things, but then they know what to do. Or when they walk to school, he's walking to school alone, I always say, hey, remember, your power animal is here, or your angel is here. It allows me to feel a lot more comfortable, and it allows him to feel a lot more comfortable. And, if every child and every person really tap into this energy, oh my God, I feel the world would be such a peaceful place to live. And if you stop, giving that space to negative thought or worries and anxiety, and I think as a parent or as a business owner, you have those worries naturally, and there is a lot of space for magic and creation and playfulness that we forget about, exactly like you said.
Wow. You know, and that's so true. I mean, I know with the worries that I have, recent worries, it's like, wait a minute, this could actually be fun. Instead of it being something I'm worried about, why couldn't I turn it into a magical experience? You know, like just really, because it's there. You know, it's in that. You know, for me, I talk about the heart space. That's that center of our being, and you feel that this we like like just that we feel and like we is it's funny that we say we, right? It's we for that collective oneness and allowing ourselves to flow from that. And I think leading into a little bit more in depth about you, like this is what part of your magic of what you're doing, right? It's you're already a magic's already happening and naturally through this conversation because of who you are. You know, when you say you're leading shamanic priestess of wealth and well-being, this is what's being evoked within me. This is what's being evoked within the audience. Right now, we're falling into it, so to speak. We're in it. We're like, ooh, yeah, this is fun. So I'd love to tell us
Exactly.
more about
Exactly.
that. Yeah, because you tell us more about that, and if you want to throw in like how you came about with this title of leading shamanic priestess of wealth and well-being. That's
Yeah.
cool too.
Yeah. Again, it came up with, I really wanted to go a little bit deeper because this is, I know the financial world for so long. And when I shift into my own spiritual business, and people used to tell me, what do you do? I was thinking, oh, I'm a healer, but an energy healer, I'm a shaman. And really, there was something missing. And again, I sat and I said, hey, divine, what shall I call myself? And this is when the oracle way started to, I call it the oracle way. I just get these words. And sometimes the words get activated when I speak to somebody else or when I write things down. And I'm just thinking, where does it come from? And at the beginning, it was so uncomfortable. And I was go back and I would say, what do I call myself? And I would come back to the same leading shamanic priestess of wealth and well-being. And at the end, I said, okay, if that's what you want me to express myself as, I'm going to go with that. And at the same time, I had to trust, right? Because not many people understand what it is. And every business coach would tell me, Alex, nobody gets it. You're not going to get client. And I used to say, well, it's not about that, right? It's about the vibration. It's about what spirit tells me. If I work with the spiritual and I'm out of the spiritual closet, I may as well listen as opposed to just do business, in the more traditional way. And there is something really magical happening. And I know I always say to my clients, they don't have to worry so much about I have to do this or I have to do that, because when I work with them, there is that I've got a crystal wand that the audience probably cannot see, only if you look into YouTube.
Yeah.
But there is some power in that, i.e., that if the person that works with me is really tapping into this energy, they're going to feel the magic. And they don't have to do much of their own. They don't have to do gazillion things, meditate for 10 hours a day. It's fun. There's a power in this energy. And this is why, we all resonate with different people. But one of my skills is definitely to bring that ancient magic and wisdom and spelling and that power to people that are open and ready to receive that energy.
That's great. That's great. I love that. That's so. I think that there's so much truth to that. I think there's so much truth to different perspectives. Like when we talk about the practical and then the mystical, you're like, well, it just keeps coming to me. This is who I am. This is how I present myself. And then if you go to a hardcore business coach, right, they're going to say, that means nothing to anybody, like to get the simple message that everybody understands, a 3-year-old can understand, and that's the only way, that's the best, or that's the best way, and you're going to reduce your sales and your impact, and then so you got like that aspect, right, in the world and within individuals, like, oh, you got the practical, this is what really is going to work, and you got the magical and the mystical or whatever, and then so how do we, given that you've been so strongly in both fields, how do we kind of bring that together? Because sometimes it drives you nuts, like because you get in your head, right? The practicals tends to bring you into your head, and then the magical is like we, and you're like, I'm about fairies and rainbows. Come and work with me. Well, that sounds cool to you, and that probably will attract some people, but it's probably not refined enough to attract as many clients as you could have. For example, this just is an example. So tell me more about bringing the two together.
Well, for me, it's really, again, finding somebody like me that is going to be able to offer you both sides of the coins. Because if you're only, like you said, on the mystical, you may be a little bit living in another dimension. But then I say, when it comes to pay your bill, you might be struggling. The other way is you may be thinking only about your bills, but then there's no joy, there's no creativity, there's nothing much to it. And this is why people tend to work from 8 to 8 and then on the weekend they play. And I say, what if you could be paid for something that you love? And when you really tap into your purpose, your mission of life, and you're doing something that it's bigger than you, so it's got to be bigger than just your own family, your own self, and then the universe will support you. And find somebody to support you, because that's something I really believe in. If you do it alone, it's going to take you a lot longer. It's going to be very frustrating, whether you're employed or whether you have a business owner. If you find somebody that really supports you, I say to my client, I'm your best cheerleaders. It's not your husband to support you, your children to support you in your career, right? I'm your best cheerleader. So find somebody that really can merge what you're searching, what you're about, what is your talent, what is your skill, that allows you to magnify that skill, because people tend to dream small. They come in with that judgment, oh, that's not possible for me, so I'm only going to dream, a very little dream. And then we look into their possibilities, and their possibilities, it's limitless. So once they align to their vision, yes, I'm limitless, then they can also turn into the practical. Okay, so practically, how is your vision going to be applied? How are you going to merge the two together? So it takes some balancing and it takes some skills to be able to do both, but it's totally possible.
Yeah, I think again, it just comes back to, when you get into that strong current of energy, then you can get into a no mind, an enlightened mind, or whatever you want to call it, right? And it's like, oh, well, practically speaking, I guess this and that. And that's basically like practical intuition, really, is how I hear it. It's like, okay, well, intuitively, it feels like then we do this and that. And the inner critic will come in and say, well, we need to strengthen that up a little bit. Or, yeah, maybe, okay, well, maybe not, like, and you can play with all these different energies, and it'll all serve. I think where people get in, miss out is when they throw any piece of themselves out, like, well, that's no good, like they'll throw out the whole thing. That's my point. Like, like, that's no good, that whole aspect of myself. No, there's a gift in all of it, right? So to bring it all together, right, to synergize like a grand orchestra, like, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and if I can say on that, Daniel, I had to go through the journey, because so first it was more or less most finance, but I was really in the closet when it came to the spiritual. Then when I started my spiritual business, I was really happy with the fairies, the dragons, only thinking I want to be in 5D, my 5D reality. I just want to drama, I just want to journey, I just want to talk to the angels. And I said, what the heck did I spend that many years in finance? And I wouldn't tell people I came from the financial world, and I would just keep it hush hush. And then one day it dawned on me, I said, this is what I'm really good at, because people are either healers or they're business coach, and I can really offer something unique here. So why do I need to renegade myself, right? And this is where finally even the business for me started to really take off, not by saying, no to one side or the other side. And I'm really grateful that you brought this up, because it's, I could have speeded things up a little earlier if I'd acknowledged that part of myself, rather than going, all the way left and then all the way right, and before I find that really illuminated path. So yeah, thank you for mentioning it. I hope it's going to be useful for the listeners
Oh
too.
yeah, I mean, well, because they're doing it themselves, so they're aware of these things already, but we're just deepening the awareness of the same one conversation that we're all having, right? So we're all having this one same conversation, especially within the bandwidth of light leaders that what I the same term I use, for the people I serve, and it's like we're having this one conversation where we're like, oh yeah, that's true and that's true, and things start landing. So that's beautiful. So this space that you see, what's so beautiful is this space that's magical within you that awakens others to the mystical. It's just natural. It's automatic, and you've had it your whole life, right? So it's like you're activating people without even trying. It's just happening. It's just a natural thing. Then there's all the specific things that you do. So what do you do to help people who, all the thousands of energy scans I've done, like so many people, they're all almost always to see persecution of past lives and try to step out, do their stuff. It's like, well, I'm probably going to die if I do the biggest thing I've come here to do. Like, so, because that's the idea, right? From past lives. So how do you help people with that, given that you have this, shamanic energy, this mystical magic and whatnot? How do you help people with that? How do you help address that? And then how does your energy activations, I know you must do and whatnot, help these visionaries to get out of the closet and be able to feel safe
Thank
or just
you.
trust it. Yeah.
Thank you. I always say it really depends on what the person is comfortable with. So there's a lot of education that goes in there. Like I like to work with goddesses. I like to really work with the angels. And but if you're not feeling called to, or at the beginning you're just starting, it's really about letting people know they have the power to be more creative in their life. They have the power to really see what they want to experience. And protection, it's one of the first things that I always talk about, and being in control of what do you say yes to, who do you say no to. And this comes back to the practical, very practical boundaries. Know your yeses, know your nos. And we can stop it there if you don't want to go into very deep realm, but just make sure that you're not people pleasing. You're not self doubting yourself. You step in your confidence. You step in your light. And the more you work with the practical, the more then you can go into other realms. Always knowing what is, I call it danger sometimes, of opening up to energies that we're not aware of. And to demystifying a lot of, oh, just think positive and everything will be fine, or just visualize for 10 minutes. No, it doesn't work that way. You really have to put in a little bit more of mindfulness. And when it's persecution of past life, I've got that, my head was chopped off, I was burned, all of it. I always say, let's bring it back to this reality. So whatever happened in the past, how many life you lived, and drama happened, what's happening in this lifetime, what's happening in your body right now. And one thing that really helps is to connect to Mother Earth, the elements. So again, practical things, but viewed from a different angle. So Mother Earth is a beautiful energy, that can support you, and you can go as deep as you want when we look at different realms and elements, but in this lifetime. So through this body, you are in the body ultimately in this
Yeah.
in this moment in time. So it's easy to get lost in past life, but it's good to bring it back here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah, yeah. The safety is anchoring that safety, and one of the things that you talk a lot about, and that you really uh, a big stand for is of uh, the as many are the feminine energy coming in and releasing the well, I'll just I sometimes I wonder with the name of it being a guy. I understand it, but like patriarchal, but I understand like so, but that whole like dominate, we'll make it happen, conquer, me over you, if that's whatever it takes. And, men are in charge, women, have babies and whatever, all that energy, it's been a lot of that energy for sure. So part of it is shifting from that into something far more expanded for everyone, and women, and then that would include men, ultimately, a much more empowering feminine energy for everyone. So I imagine that some of your work focuses on that within the people you work with. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's very about the redistribution of power in a sense. So I work with gods and goddesses, but it's that beautiful feminine receptive energy. And one of the messages that I'm really adamant, yes, let's call it the patriarchy, but mainly is being in our head, having to do things in order to manifest something. And really, when it becomes a balance, it means that you go through cycles. You don't have always to be on top, always hunting, always doing, always thinking, right? You can feel it's exhausting. But if you start to really relax, and when I say it comes in the body and comes in the energy, and let things come to you, ultimately, this is what the woman receives. So if you can work with that energy again in your day-to-day life, and a lot of men are coming to me these days saying, I want to know what it feels like to work with the feminine. I want to know what it feels like to really serve from, a feminine perspective. So, yeah, it's not a female man in terms of sexes. It's more about that receptivity and allowing yourself that some point in times, like for women, it's easy. There are cycles. There are cycles where they want to retreat and they really don't want to do anything. But at the same time, these were a sacred cycle where they were healing a whole village. And then there were other times where they were really attractive and they were conquering the men. And so I'm really looking into understanding what is that cycle for men. I still haven't, I talked to a lot of shamans and Daniel, if you want to help me out here. But what is that cycle, that 30-day cycle for men? What does he look like? Because you cannot be always on the go, always hunting. You need to have your downtime. And this is really about awakening, I think, a lot more of your heart center as well, because, men may be tempted to use more of the physical force and as
Right.
opposed to
I think a lot of that gotten into with women too. They because that was the model. Let's face it. I mean, for a long time, it's like a lot of women were in a workplace, and so it was the model for success in a workplace. Well, what are the guys doing? I mean, it just has been what it is, and so it's like, okay, and then with the male energy, I mean, there's so many aspects of that. That could be a show plus a lot more. But like, I do think about a little bit with John Gray, right? I think he says, wasn't his women are like a wave and men are like rubber bands and all that stuff. And yeah, it's like we're like we just with emotions, we're just taught not to go there. Like you're on it, and like just be on it, and never get off of it. I mean, that's what we're taught. I mean, that's how in and then when you look at a hormonal aspect of testosterone, for those of us, testosterone people have no. If you're not a man, you just can't understand. Just like I can't understand women, right? You guys can't understand until you get older. So for women, sometimes I understand testosterone more when I get older. But when otherwise you just don't get it. Like how much that energy builds up and how strong it is, and if not channeled appropriately, it does. It wants to burn villages. It wants to destroy everything. It resents even being alive. It's like, this is all crap and bullshit. I'll kill all of you. Like, and then that's unacceptable to society. So what do? We go passive aggressive on you guys. Like, oh, sure, I'll be there, hon. Don't worry. And I'm like, I'm busy running away because I want my cave time, right? The whole like,
Yes.
oh, no one, I can't be off ever. I got to be with you or I got to be working. So I need cave time. So I'm going to lie to you or I'm going to be sneaky or I'm going to find a way to get, I'm going to do the shadow stuff, porn or whatever it is. Like guys do different stuff, right? The shadow box. We have find different ways to deal with it. But I think one of the big things is that we aren't aware of what kind of natural cycles might be. I think that's why you're having some, learning to do about that because it's hard to see at first. It's like, it's a little bit different. It is a little bit different. I appreciate that you recognize there is such a difference. Yeah.
Yes. And even when I asked the men and I said, do you have a cycle? Like the women again aligns with the moon. And the men, it's like, what do you align with? Okay, Mars. Yes, but Mars is a little bit further. So yeah, for me, there's some learning. And many men, when you ask them, do you recognize the cycle? They say no. But with girls, and please don't take it the wrong way, but a lot of time with my girlfriends in very intimate talk, we used to say, men have periods as well because they're so moody, we just don't know when it's coming. So it's, it makes the job a little bit trickier.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if when that testosterone, if there's not a release, let me put it that way, it builds up so strong that we're just literally like, I mean, I know for myself, literally, if there's not a release or transmutation of the energy, you just go nuts. You're just nuts. You're just on edge and you're ready to smash and destroy. That's why you see irritable husbands. They're like, what do you want? Leave me alone. I'm like, why are you always bugging me? Or what? Like, it's because of the testosterone. That's what it is. It's a very simple thing. Like, that is the primary reason why. And then, of course, there's always different reasons. Like, every guy is different. I mean the stereotype, but that is generally what's going on. And that's a huge piece. But yeah, I don't think guys are in tune with their so-called cycles. They think like, what are you talking about cycles? What are you talking about? What you're talking about?
I don't even
Like,
have one. Yeah.
yeah, know what their cycle is. I mean,
There's
women are
always a
already,
cycle.
even from a mental perspective, women are thinking about cycles because they get periods. So it's like you're already attuned to that there's cycles and you're more attuned to nature in that regard, right? Like you're aware of that. Whereas we're not, we don't have that going on so much.
Exactly, exactly. So hopefully, if the audience have anything to share, I'd love to see their comments. So please, please, please let
Yeah,
us know.
yeah, absolutely. Let us know what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear more about it. I'm sure there's books have been written already about it. I do know some people, various people that talk about such things. David Data, I know, talks a lot about these sorts of things and whatnot. So, but for the work you do, one of the things that I know that I've seen this oracle energy in many people over the years. The guidance only so often will give me that specific word for somebody though, like okay, oracle. And when I share with some people, they're like, oh yeah, totally. And then some people are like, oracle. I'm intuitive. I don't know about that oracle stuff. So it's funny. Like I think that in part it is like a past life fear. Like, oh no, don't rope me. No, I'm not one of those. Don't worry. Like I'm just intuitive. I just know a little bit. But I think so much of people's psychic capacity is just so blunted because um, there's such a thing about this idea of being so connected and be able to know what you know, right? So what have you noticed about that? I mean, what do you have to share about that stuff?
Well, again, it's something for me. I really feel I have a good conversation with the universe. So whether it's on a song or people talk to me, if I hear something more than twice, or if I type it, or generally I type it and I really experience like you see in the movies, you type something typically on a screen and the word changes and they've got nothing to do with what I wanted to say at the beginning. And the oracle way started exactly like that. I might be typing, my cat is here, and brrr, the oracle way came up. And I tune into that, and I also have various astrology readings, and it all brings me back to that experience. And it's one that I really embraced joyfully, because it's very powerful to be able to not be conscious in a sense, but to receive information that are useful. Ultimately, they're not going to tell me about the weather. It's always something that it's either going to help the client or it's going to help me. So I don't want to resist it. And I actually really, really welcome this gift for day to day, for my business, for my children, for my clients. And I know not to question it, because if I start to doubt it, this is where I lose my powers. So this is not about me. It's something someone wants to convey a message. I've done it for millions of years. Why not do it now? It's like you mentioned before. In this lifetime, I studied economics and finance. Why would I throw it all away just because I'm choosing something different? No, I want to show up with all of my powers from every lifetime, and I've already died for that one, so that's it. That in a sense, I suffered then, but I don't have to suffer now. I paid for my either sin or for misjudgment, or that's done. Now it's a new life, but I'm carrying all of that knowledge, all of this wisdom, all of those files. And sometimes those files need a good cleaning, right? So again, it's a lot easier to do the cleansing when you tune into the universe, as opposed to you having to say, do I need this? Do I need this? Do I need yes, no, yes, no? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, in a way it does. I'm feeling your energy more than that's I'm kind of my thing. I'm feeling energy more than I hear every single word somebody says sometimes. So, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, yeah, why would you neglect that which that is there, that's already there to share? Well, because people don't feel safe, because they're been told to not go there. Like a lot of reasons, right? So what you do though is, in part, is you said you help people to establish that sense of safety. You mentioned about power animals with your son, for example. What are some of the things that you would recommend? Like, I mean, people could reach out to you, but what are some things that you help people with in terms of feeling that sense of safety, like when they don't feel safe, to be themselves and to share their gifts and whatnot?
Sure. So I would say the first thing is to really surround yourself with people that you think will support you, that you think can take that level of information. And it may be that for some time you will be lonely. It may well be that for some times you're going to look around and don't have many people. It's for me, when I started my spiritual journey, they started to drop like flies, and it felt a bit lonely at the beginning. And it took a while to readjust. It took a while to bring more people. It took a while to feel safe again. So I would say take it at your own pace. Find a practice that works for you. Like for me, shamanism is very, very strong in terms of protection. Working with Archangel Michael, a simple prayer. And when I say a prayer, is an invocation. What even you could say, thank you for keeping me safe.
Yeah.
It's enough. But do it every day, twice a day, maybe. And this is going to help you to have just a steady practice where you feel safe first and foremost with yourself. Find who you are. What do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? What makes you feel good when you're home alone? And then from there, start to expand. And it's not always, let's not sugarcoat it. It's not always just smooth as butter. I don't know what's the expression in English. You might need to go through some hoops, but you're going to feel something in you that it's very rewarding when you're following your own path. It's going to be very rewarding to work with those energies that make you feel safe and ultimately are going to allow you to express yourself. So find a good circle, a good mentor, a good group where you feel, you know what? I'm safe here. And I'm going to give you a very practical example. So I said to angels when I started to think, what can I do and not go back to the financial world and be employed? So first it was meditation and awareness coaching and mindfulness, still more or less traditional, right? I would call it. And then one day I saw a big board, theta healing, energy healing, psychic abilities. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? I never heard the word healing. I'm not English. I mean, I'm Italian. I speak Italian and French. So healing was not a word that was in my vocabulary. So to see it advertised on a big billboard, I thought, what is this? But something was calling me. And I was scared. I was scared. That said, I thought, okay. And Alex never does things halfway. I say, okay. I signed up. It was a practitioner course. I didn't go the first level. I did the 3 levels in a row, not knowing, not a clue of what it was. And I said, worst case scenario, I lose a bit of money. I just walk out the room. That's going to happen. But the moment I stepped into that room and I started to talk about angels and unicorns, and again, I don't normally talk about angels and unicorns with anybody. I just felt I was at the right place with the right group of people. I never met these people before. I never met the teacher. I never knew what it was. But something said, I can be myself now. And from there, I started to talk to about unicorns only with that group. Then I got a little bit more adventurous with some people outside of that group. Now I go on TV and talk about angels and dragons. And so you don't have to do everything at once, just feel and find those persons. And if you ask again, if you want to ask the angels or the dragons or the spirit guides or power animals, just say, where do I need to be right now to feel good and safe? They're going to take you there.
What if someone thinks in their mind, like, like I have like a slight, like this little slight thought would come up. I'd be like, wait a minute, what if I don't feel like I've got fairies and dragons and all that stuff? I'm open to it, but I just don't really vibe with that. Is it truly that it's not really my thing, or is it possible resistance? How would we know? I mean, I'm kind of curious about that, but so I'm going to let you answer that question. But I think it's so awesome that what you said, like you just felt at home. You just felt totally at home when you were in that space where there were people that could hear what you're saying and are into it. It's like, oh my God, I can just, whoo, like, right. I mean, I think that is so amazing. And, for me, I experienced a little bit of that when I went into metaphysics. I got around people in the metaphysics. I didn't know about metaphysics, but when I got around it, I'm like, oh, this is what I believe in. I already kind of knew this somehow. I already knew about this stuff. I didn't ever study it exactly, but somehow I knew this stuff and think God exists. Like for me, that was one of those experiences, right? So like I feel at home. This is my vibe. This is my thing, and that is so important. It's just to have that. Without that, I never would have been able to accomplish some of the things I've accomplished in my life. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have. I don't think so anyway. I know it's been big on my path. So, but how do we know what? I guess it's like you said. You feel like that sense of your home, right? I mean, how else? I mean, because there are people listening. I'm sure are still like, I don't quite know my path yet. Like there are a few of them like that still.
Beautiful, thank you. Yes, it's a journey, and again, it goes into leaps and bounds. So another very practical example, but a lot of people told me you got fairy energy, and with fairies, so angels very comfortable and dragons very comfortable, and fairies, I always felt. I know you're there, but I think you're too mischievous. I don't want to get involved with you. Not really my thing. And then fast forward 2 years, I've got fairies all over my place and fairies oracle deck. And so it might just be that at that moment in time, it's either too new or too soon. But if it comes into your awareness, don't judge it. Be open and say, okay, I don't really resonate with it. But if it keeps happening, then ask yourself, why do people keep on mentioning fairies? Why do I keep bumping into pictures of fairies? Or why do I keep, same for star beings. I never consider myself a star being until one, twice, three times, and then it starts to be too many coincidences. So then, you could either again ask the universe or ask an astrologer or find somebody to give you a sense of direction. But don't judge, be open-minded, and it's okay to say, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet to be talking to the fairies. I'll stay here and it's okay to do the cards, for instance, for now. But so everything at your own pace, always with an open mind, and paying attention to the little details, that because the universe is always going to talk to you through songs, through a bus drive, through pay attention, read some books, and it's going to come to you. It's really going to come to you.
Right. Totally.
And through activations as well, right? I do activations for soul purpose. I do activation to work with the goddesses. And what an activation. I know some of my healers colleagues were saying, oh, activation is just BS. And I said, no, it's just part within your DNA, within your code. It's just like putting a computer online, right? We all have it, yet 95% of people don't use them. So if you're ready and open and receptive, do an activation and it's going to spark things up, but you're always in control. Again, you are always in control. The activation is something within you that I can activate. I'm sure, Daniel, you can activate, right? But they have to say yes to that. They have to subscribe to that, at least when they work with me.
Yeah, I mean, they have to at least be open to it, right? I mean, that's the key, is to be open, and then the activation can happen. I always, one of the ways I've told people is like literally, we are coding similar to computers in some ways, like where the energy is not turned on, there's those zeros, right? And then you get those zeros into ones if you want it activated. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going the way you are, right? You turn on. And so, that's a really practical way of looking at it, so that people can kind of get. I find sometimes people just. So one way anyway is to get the mind on board, right? We need to get the mind on board. Well, if I just stay open to, okay, I can be okay with that, right? Like, all right, you're all about fairies. I see it in your records, or I've oracleized it, or whatever. You're meant to do this. Now do it. Now you're like, oh heck no! Like, all right, okay, you be open to it. Sure, okay, all right, great. Well, are you open to maybe playing with some oracle cards for a while, learning more about that? Oh, sure, that sounds suitable enough. I got to start them somewhere, right? And that's how it can work. That's how things can open up for us, for sure. So Alex, I know that you do this beautiful work to activate. I mean, to me, this is what wealth and well-being is about, right? In part, I mean, we're talking about wealth and well-being. This is wealth and well-being of your well-being, your well-being, right? Like, I feel like that's what we've been immersed in this conversation, the energy that you bring. And then we've got the natural wealth, and wealth, I'm sure, includes more than only financial abundance, although it does include that. Tell us more about that, like how you activate wealth and well-being in people.
So for me, it's really about, first and foremost, accepting. And again, it's a shift in consciousness that we have to go through the suffering all the time in order to gain something. It's not a trade-off. How much do you suffer and how much you can gain? Because sometimes in the spiritual realm, you have to be poor in order to be very spiritual. You have to suffer a lot so that you, and my mission is, because we're shifting this new energy, this new way, the sacred feminine, what if you could evolve without all the suffering? What if you could evolve without having to go through all of this pain, right? That we've been doing this until now, all the shadow work, enough shadow work forever. Just activate those codes. So the way I work with people to activate wealth, and when I say activate wealth, is exactly what you said. It's a lot more. So I've got a specific program where we start, it's only 1 week, where we go through an activation. And I'm very good at seeing what's in the way in their energy field, removing it. And something that people don't tend to do is replacing it. Because if you take something away, we know the universe abhors the vacuum, right? So we need to replace it with something that's going to be helpful for you. But when people do this activation, they tend to come for me to business, to get more wealth in their business. But all of a sudden, their relationship gets better, or they were single, they moved in 6 months later, their health gets better, their business explode, and it's just because it's wealth at every level. And again, I think there is a bit of we're programmed that we cannot have it all. We're programmed that, oh, if your love life is amazing, then you got to struggle in your career. If your career is amazing, you cannot be a good parent. If you're a good parent, you maybe don't have a career at all. Oh my God, who said so, right? But if everybody thinks that way, of course, that's the energy of the collective. So I'm here to say, no, 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 you can have it all. And I want to work with people that are ready to receive it all. And again, the traditional business coach is going to come to me and say, you cannot offer people to get well-being in their love, in their money, in their health. You got to pick one. Otherwise, people get confused. And I'm saying, well, I'm here to break that pattern of people getting confused, because we are amazing being and our body's amazing. So it can sustain really high level frequencies where you can have it all. Otherwise, you're just fragmented, right? And it's not serving you.
Yeah, it's confusing if the consciousness, hasn't evolved to the point where it can understand where you're coming from. We're getting to a level where, again, I've been saying this in the last 2-3 shows. I'll never forget. It's been up really strong for me. One of the guides said many years ago to a client, so it's like, you all worried about branding, you're in preschool with the way you're thinking about things, not to make it wrong, but it's just like, you're so bottled up with who you are and branding and all this stuff. You need to go transcend that concept. And it's about the frequency. It's about the frequency of what we're in is the big thing. And that's what you are naturally just connected with and working with. So that's what's going to elevate people, where people just you activate people where they're magnetic to what wants to unfold in their life all the way around. So that's what's cool. And people either feel it today or they don't, and because I mean, that's the thing. And I can feel it. So I can definitely attest to the fact that it's happening. And I know the people that are listening in, there's a lot of very open people that are sensitive enough to feel it. So that's great. Now I think you had some things to share with the audience. Maybe that I don't know if you wanted to tell them about how they could contact you, etc. Yeah, anything else you want to share with them? This meditation, it looks like, as well.
Well, we talked about purpose. So if they go onto my website, there is a activate your purpose meditation, which is really helping you to, what am I here to do? What am I here to do? And I say to serve the world. People hear that phrase a lot. You're here to serve the world. And I always say in a way that serves you, because ultimately this is about you. And not many people are willing to say that, but unless you fill your cup first, especially if you're leading, you're a light leader, you need to fill your cup first, whatever way it's good for you. So yes, serve the world in a way that serves you, because the moment you take care of yourself, the moment you feel prosperous, the more you can help others. So don't feel, again, poverty is not a shortcut to spirituality. Don't feel, oh my God, it's all about everybody else but me. No, 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 no. This is about you having a healthy relationship with yourself, with the universe, and know where am I best placed to really bring, I say, betterment to the world, so that we can all expand. And imagine if instead of you going out and about and searching for things, becoming magnetic, like Daniel said, so that things come to you, so that everything flows to you. And yes, you still have to do your inner work. You still have to show up. You still have to be the best version of you. But rather than chasing, let everything happening in your field and really elevate those frequencies, so that what you attract is serving you and it's positive for you. So people can definitely download that meditation. And I'm going to share my phone number. So Daniel, I think you've got it for them. And they can contact me. I am GMT, so don't call me in the middle of the night. My phone is switched off. But if you'd like to have a conversation where you're open and you're saying, you know what, I want to do things slightly differently, because I can definitely offer you something differently without being afraid, right? We take it at your own pace. Like I say, you don't need to dance naked in the moonlight if it's not your thing. And we don't have to go into dragons and fairies if that's not your thing, but I can definitely bring some tools to help you elevate and open up and bring that magic to you.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, so you can check out the, I believe, the meditation and everything at breathingheart.co.uk.
Yes,
Breathingheart.co.uk. Is that right?
correct. And my phone number is on that page as well, so feel
Yes.
free to use it.
Yes, yes, which we would list, but it's a lot of numbers. But somebody wants to jot it down. It's +44 and
Yes.
7712 113 07 0. One more time, +44 7712 113 070. You can play it back if you didn't get the first round. So okay, and you looks like you're on WhatsApp and on Telegram as well.
Correct.
So check
Correct.
all that out. And I love your mantra: rise in love, create your empire, lead from the heart. That's what's wanting to happen right now. All are meant to come back home, and that comes through the Sacred Heart, which is all part of this work, that beautiful work Alex is doing. You should see it if you're not on YouTube. She's got this big heart, this big love thing behind her. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever had on my show. Wonderful background. She's totally color coordinated with it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Such a pleasure to be in your show, Daniel. Thank you, beautiful listeners. Like I said, I feel your energy. I feel you're ready. I feel some of you might still be a little bit hesitant. Go at your own pace and know that we love you, we support you. Everything you need, just let us know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of the things we like to do to just start to completely wrap this up is I'd like to share a couple more. I've been already doing it with you, but like a couple more cool things about you that I see with your energy and how you help. Can I share a couple of things through some scanning?
Sure.
Okay, great. All right, great. Let's see. You know, it's funny. You do have a very, they keep showing me your third eye. Then I tune in. Like, you have a very, even though you have all that yummy, like, energy coming in, you also have, a nice, beautiful scalar energy is what comes through because you use that term. But, like, that's what I hear too. So then, but then in the third eye, you also have a strong, straightforward energy. So, and I see like jets turning on. So it's like you see the vision, you see it, you know it. It is, and that is what you could connect with for people as the oracle. And but what I see is that you are working in those realms to bring it into their experience by locking into it in a sense that is effortless for you. So that's a very unique gift. It's not one that, again, is super common. Other people can do this work, but not everybody would have it in the way that you do. And it's like it gets locked in and then it's brought in. And so people just need to be open. I think there's a lot of emotions that your clients deal with, incredible amounts of emotions in these activations, and you hold that space for them. So the big thing is for them not to get too scared or run away or anything like that. And I know you hold a really good space for that. So that's what I'm hearing. So yeah, the week, the month, whatever it is, but like it takes a little bit of time, but it's integrating, but it's fast. It's got a fast track energy feel to it. And it's so beautiful. And yeah, I think, the only other thing that's been coming to mind is just you've got, I think what you represent for the tribe too is trusting your power. It's within you and your tribe. Trust your sacral power. Trust the ability to command, in a sense, your reality, if you want to call it that, command the powers of the universe. Realize that it's meant for you. It's perfectly well, and that you're working on the side of the highest good for all, and to trust that, because we have a lot of distrust of our power. So that's just the other little message that's coming in too. Okay, that's all I have. Any quick thoughts or comments on that one, on any of that stuff, Alex?
It's so beautiful because we didn't talk about my vision, but I always say I have a laser sharp vision. So when I work with clients, you've seen it. There's this laser beam that goes from my third eye, boom, and I know exactly where they need to go, where they need to be, and the bigger vision for them. This is why I say I tend to dream small, but through that vision, I just see it and I hold that space, and it is fast. Like I said, one of my program is 1 week, and people get enormous transformation, while other coaches, they have to come back, and like I say, the shadow work and back and back. It's a never-ending story. For me, it's very fast, sharp, effective, boom. So when you mentioned vision, we didn't talk about vision at all, but boy, you use some of the words that I'm using. Explain what I do. So thank you.
Just, I'm grateful to share. And everybody, if you want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. There's an opportunity for energy scanning there. And then also I have a free meditation as well. It's called Meditate and Make Money. Open up your energy, your chakras. Well, we do the shadow work, Okay. I mean, not so much in that one, but we open up. I just had to play. I'm like, there's a time and place for everything. Let me just put it that way. I'll get a whole discussion about it. But I totally love the fast track, and then it's so magical, Alex's energy. But what we did with the free meditation does, I divert a little bit, but it open up your energy and gets you aligned so that you can hear your guidance and get the energy, that those energies turned on, so that effortlessly new things come to your life. Because it is, the deeper you go with this, the more you get fully realize it's all about the energy, baby, and things start happening. So go check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. Get the Meditate and Make Money meditation for free.
Can I say something else, Daniel? I'd like to say to the audience, go to Daniel, have an energy read, don't ask him to do anything, come to me, work with me, and then go back to Daniel and have another energy read. And you can see the difference.
Absolutely. We can do that too. Tag team it, right? So, okay, all right. Okay, great. So I'm so grateful. And Alex, thank you for being on. And I'm so grateful for everybody tuning in. And follow your guidance with everything, and your deeper knowing and your deeper guidance, and follow it boldly. Okay, so keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
Lots of love.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.